Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Colm O'Regan What's a Word? And this time, it's Colm O'Regan wants a bleedin word, a down and dirty walk on the wild side of language. I'm Colm O'Regan, and to guide me through the slang while still keeping within BAI guidelines are comedian and actor types, the Fiend, Paul Tylak.
Hello.
And the Bure, Tara Flynn.
Hello.
Slang, the dictionary, says it's a type of language consisting of words and phrases that are informal, are more common in speech than writing, and are used in a particular context or group of people. To which I would add, and slang moves fast. Innocuous words acquire new meaning all the time, and no one tells you. I just know that one day I'll have a birthday party for my teenage children at my house, and I'll say something to the guests like, hey guys, be sure to help yourselves to nacho and dips. And then they'll all start laughing.
Yeah, Mr. O'Regan, sure thing. Nachos and dips.
Yeah, loser.
Because nachos and dips will mean something completely different then, and then I'll be all confused and I'll be such a dad, and I'll say something like, okay, I'd better go out and see if anyone's been messing with the green bin again. And then they'll laugh again.
Messing with the green bin.
Oh, forsooth.
Because messing with the green bins will mean something completely different, and forsooth will be back in fashion. This show won't even scratch the surface of slang. It's just a little homage to that part of speech that gets patronised and criticised, but actually it's essential, it's historic, it's amazeballs. But why do we slang? To help answer that question, I'm joined by Trinity scholar and novelist and proper dub, Frankie Gaffney.
Come on, Frankie.
Frankie, your first novel, the critically acclaimed Dublin 7, set right in the heart of inner city Dublin and working class Dublin. You were writing the speech of dubs, but what did the editors think of the slang as you were writing it down?
Yeah, one of the problems getting published, so I was in talks with a big publisher and they wanted me to make a variety of changes, and the first agent I met was very vocal about was to remove the Dublin words from the narrator's voice. So it's in third person omniscient. So the opening sentence is Shane stepped out the door of his dad's gaff, and it goes on like that through the book. So they would have wanted it to say Shane stepped out the door of his father's house for the narrator, and they said it was incongruous. But I think Dublin words are good enough to be in the narrative of a book as well. There was a few other things, like, for example, the young fella starts a course in business, and when he comes down that morning, his ma says, here's Bill Cullen, have you any penny apples? And the agent said, yeah, no, that won't work for an international audience. You could change that to Donald Trump.
Don't tell Bill Cullen that, by the way.
Don't tell him that he's the next Donald Trump.
But I understand as well that there is Dublin language in Shakespeare, in some of the finest works of Shakespeare.
Yeah, absolutely. So the word jacks, which seems quintessentially Dublin, is actually in Shakespeare. It's in King Lear, and it says, I'll daub the walls of a jacks with you. There's another one, pox seems the quintessential Dublin slagging, but that's actually in Hamlet. Begin, murderer, pox.
I loved the idea of Irish characters appearing at important, crucial moments, storied quotes from Shakespeare. For example, in Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
I'm down here. Come on, will you? Sake. Missing the match.
Richard III.
A horse. My kingdom for a horse.
A kingdom for a horse? That's fierce bad value, boy. But I suppose that's what you'd pay up in Dublin, all right.
Or how about Hamlet?
Why then 'tis none to you, for there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
Look, 'tis all very well for the princes over along in Denmark to be theorising about good and bad, but at the end of the day, that is not going to make one iota of a difference for the people of Kerry that I represent. Man's got a point, you know. Slang can also be problematic depending on not just when, but where you are, as Irishman Tommy Smith found out while commentating on soccer on American TV.
I mean, you could see it without even counting passes. You could notice that he just didn't have that little bit of jizz in him today.
A little bit of what?
Jizz.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm sure there's half the audience don't know what's wrong with that, so I'm just going to leave it to the other half to explain it to you later on. Doing a program about slang has me conflicted. I love slang, but also I crave order. Slang is chaotic, but I want rules, because when you have grey areas, you have misunderstandings.
Here you are. 4 candles.
No, 4 candles.
Well, there you are, 4 candles.
No, 4 candles. Handles for forks.
You see, I'm a pedant. I want the words to be correct. I know words change over time, but I don't want them to change in my time. Words are just being changed in front of our eyes, and it makes me angry. Like, I'll be in a coffee shop, and some guy in a suit will just be ordering.
Hi, can I get an espresso?
And it's all I can do to stop grabbing them by the lapels and shouting, "The espresso is a bus that does not stop at all the stops. You need an espresso, okay?" It's the same with the mysterious extra R in Chicago. We even have a soluble P in soluble sulfidine. Have you noticed that? That's not what's written on the box, people. And it's specific, not Pacific. The Pacific is literally the least specific thing in the world. Of course, as soon as I say this, I'll be accused of being in the grammar police. But I don't care. I want the grammar police. A thin red underline against chaos.
Grammar police. When you're misusing your words, they're right there. That's with the yours spelled correctly and the there as well.
Congratulations, John Murphy, the imaginary winner of our crap laptop on our crappy Facebook page, where you can comment about immigrants as well.
Congrats, John. I would have loved to win that.
Grammar police, hands off that keyboard.
WTF?
I said hands where I can see him.
Chief, he's trying to delete it on his other phone.
Oh, nice try, dipstick. Screenshot.
But, boss, that's a fragment. You should consider revising.
Shut up, kid. Sometimes to catch these scum, you gotta play like these scum. You want stuff like this to happen again? Take a look.
Oh, God.
Yeah, multiple grammar side. You'll get used to it. Apostrophe and congrats. Use of would of instead of would have. These people are sick.
Maybe it's their background.
Don't give me that do-gooder bull, Donegan. They know what they're They apostrophe R-E doing.
And unlike sometimes for the real guards, the judges are hardcore and on the side of my fantasy grammar police when the case gets to court.
Order in court. I sentence you to a spell in prison. Grammar police, your word is our business.
Coming up next week on Grammar Police, is there trouble for Detective Vociferates?
Nothing I can do, Vociferates. DA's on my case. I'm talking uppercase. I need your badge and your dictionary.
But Sarge...
Your badge and your dictionary, detective. And the other dictionary. The one in your sock.
Frankie, am I just wasting my time? Am I just getting old and cranky, complaining about grammar? It's just classic pedantic behaviour.
Well, there's a lot of precursors, and a lot of people feel, kind of similar to the way you do. But I have a quote here. The masses barely use anything but the nominative and the accusative. Writing it in an artificial language, it's an effort for them to recite anything decently. And that's from 63 AD. So people were concerned about the degradation and the corruption of language then. So, yeah, I definitely don't think it's anything to get concerned about.
Very good. Now, we asked the audience for their favourite slang term from where they're from. Here's what they said.
Okay, so mine is local slang. I'm from Cork. So in Cork, you say that you're allergic to something. So, like, let's say you've work tomorrow and you'd be like, oh, like, I'm allergic to going to work. Yeah. You can be allergic to people as well, or, anything in general.
Stocious. Yeah, kind of just does what it says on the tin. Oh, God, he was stocious.
So I have two. Is that all right? So number one would be Scarlet for you. Absolutely Scarlet for you, like just morto. And the other is Scrote, as in he's an absolute scrote. I just think it's brilliant. And nothing brings more joy to my heart than hearing that being shouted down Dorset Street of a rainy Wednesday. Love that word.
She's some rip. Oh, she's a right bitch.
I love allergic as well too. I'm from Cork. I love allergic. I think we should have on menus in restaurants, you've got all your normal allergies, and then like number 17, oh my God, just allergic. And that's it. It just covers everything. I'm just allergic to this situation right now. Slang comes in from ethnic groups or marginalised groups and gradually makes its way in towards the centre. When I was in school in Cork, we used words from the travelling community like fiend, bior, galoon, subla, saying ontiv instead of onta. Now Irish people are using African American or Afro-Caribbean words. There are people in Leitrim calling each other bae. And Frankie, it happens in class as well too, doesn't it? Like words transfer between classes, working class words. Do you find middle class words going in opposite direction? Do you find working class words turning up in unlikely accents?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the kind of established principles in linguistics, all other things being equal, women tend to gravitate towards the prestige dialect and men tend to gravitate down. And there's a lot of proposed reasons for this or whatever, but I think everybody can kind of see that a little bit. So I remember my cousin having a telephone voice, But then when I went to Trinity, I found out that a lot of Trinity lads would be like, yeah, I'm going over to Deco's gaff tomorrow night.
And Declan's mother has never called him Deco, ever.
No. No, certainly not.
Slang isn't just about language evolving. It could be about necessity. Like a group on the margins of society might need to talk in code. This is a small snippet from a short film by Brian Fairbairn and Carl Eccleston called Putting on the Dish, and it's about two gay men talking in Polari. Polari was a type of cant slang used by a number of different groups, including gay people in the UK, particularly before 1967 when homosexual acts were decriminalised there.
Can't swing a cat within a cove. How is Paulie? She's had an anti-bully fake. Dyed her eye, her ends a right mess.
Anti-boner. I hope she vagaried straight to the crimper.
That's where she's just been. Polone tried to give her an Irish multi-palaver. Pauline told her to shove a shikel up her guyber.
She didn't say that.
Mate, wee, ducky, wee, in your actual English.
Now, in case you're wondering, they're just talking about somebody getting a bad haircut, all right? Just relax. But Polari has died out to a large extent, and it's obviously a pity when any language dies out, but it's also a positive sign because it's possible to talk about gay relationships less in code and in public. We still have some words from Polari like dish, naff, clobber for your clothes, ogle, scarper, and slap, meaning makeup. But imagine a perfect world in the future where there is no discrimination. I still bet there'd be some people who'd have to talk in code to hide their meaning. Imagine.
The year is 2057. The Operation Transformation crew has been in power for 30 years. Exercise is compulsory. Junior infants are made to do triathlons before they do their phonics. There is no more couch to 5K. Couches are illegal. Adults have to do a bog race every week.
Okay, can I just cut in there? These bog and mud races drive me nuts, right? I love geometry. I love the shortest, Easiest path between 2 points. I can never understand a bog race. There's a perfectly good path next to the bog. What are you going through the bog for? Anyway, where were we? Sorry.
In the future, everyone is required to love exercising and eating well. Apart, that is, from a few deviants on the edge of society. They have to meet in parks and pretend they're doing park runs. But then they descend into depravity.
What a great morning for a run.
Every morning is a great morning for a run.
Yes. How is your training schedule going?
I'm just working up towards the kick yourself in the face race next week. You race for a mile over broken glass, then kick yourself in the face. It's to raise funds for a self-harm charity.
So what you're saying is your training is a piece of cake?
Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
You alone?
Yeah. I do most of my training alone.
Good. You got any, Post-its?
Yeah. I've got some hobnob Post-its here.
Hobnob? Oh, God. Oh, these are... Oh.
Slow down.
Anything else?
What kind of money you got?
Whatever it takes.
Okay. Here's a packet of dialogue from Plato.
Oh, my God, cheese and onion.
Had a bit of the old Stone Dead with full rootin' tootin' the other night.
Bread with gluten.
Shh! Do you want to get us arrested?
Sorry.
Too late. Oh, God, here comes the Operation Transformation Police. I'm out of here.
Oh, it's too late. We're surrounded.
No.
That's the sound of a kind of a fascist police force running up to them, in case anyone's wondering. Guys, what happened to the plan? I have to say, I'm very disappointed with you guys. You're supposed to be leaders. We talked about this. You need to hit your targets. You won't make your targets if you're eating biscuits in the park, guys. And what's this? Cheese and onion crisps. You're supposed to be leaders, guys, but you're letting the other leaders down, your communities, your country down. Worst of all, guys, you're letting yourselves down.
What do we do?
Start crying. They want tears, buckets of tears.
I'm really sorry. I was under a load of pressure, and I just wanted a hobnob.
It's okay. It's okay. Now, if you'd just like to pop up on the scales for me.
Oh, no.
The scales of justice.
No.
And you two, both of you, in your jocks.
Oh.
You're listening to Colm O'Regan Wants a Word with me, Colm O'Regan, exploring the world of slang, illustrated by comedians Tara Flynn and Paul Tylock, and expert witness, Trinity College Usher Fellow and novelist Frankie Gaffney. Now take a listen to this.
Well, all due respect in the most unparliamentary language, you, Deputy Stag, you.
You can't have a programme about slang without talking about swearing. The thing about Paul Gogarty, who you heard on tape there, his outburst, is that it actually wasn't officially unparliamentary language. The disallowed words at the time in the Dáil were as follows.
Brat.
Buffoon.
Chancer.
Communist.
Corner boy.
Coward.
Fascist.
Gurrier.
Gutter snipe.
Hypocrite.
Rat.
Scumbag.
Scurrilous speaker.
And a yahoo. Genuinely, you're not allowed to call somebody a yahoo in the Dáil. Now, for those of you who are wondering why would it be such an insult to describe somebody as a formerly successful search engine now fallen on hard times, a yahoo would have meant a bit of a ne'er-do-well. The yahoos were in Gulliver's Travels. I think they were a tribe of bad behaviourers. So, in theory, you could have the following exchange in the Dáil.
He's nothing but a chancer.
Deputy, please, cut out that shite.
Nothing wrong with that, you know. I searched the speeches of the Dáil for the F word, and I was excited to see that there were 25 results. Unfortunately, it's not exactly a Google search engine they have on Oireachtas.ie, and most of the results are actually related to fuchsia. The F word was said 6 times. Mick Wallace and Angus O'Snoddick have said it twice. Richard Boyd Barrett and Pat Rabbit have said it once, but they said they were reading what somebody else said. I don't care if someone says the F word in the Dáil. It shows they might actually care. I'll tell you what I'd like to see banned from the Dáil. First of all, the jeer.
Deputy Murphy.
Sorry, how about...
No, Deputy. There are to be no extended vowel movements in my chamber.
Also, anything that blames everything on the previous government.
Not like the crowd opposite who did nothing when they were in government.
The Deputy will desist from making that statement. He's in government now. Take responsibility for it.
Anything that implies the TD was accidentally elected.
We found ourselves in government.
The Deputy will apologise for that remark. It wasn't an accident that you got into government. You specifically had election material asking people to put you into government.
Anyone saying it is what it is.
Look, it is what it is.
The Deputy will explain what it is. Or the Deputy will get a boot into the side of the head.
We've talked a lot about how slang spreads so quickly, but actually there's a bit of a counter threat. Frankie, you see some ways that technology can act as suppressing our instincts to talk the way we naturally want to.
Definitely. I remember when we used to have those little Nokia phones and type with our thumb, and everyone typed the way they spoke. So I think every text message I sent between 2000 and 2005 started with "How are you?" and it was spelled Howye. And if you try and do that now in predictive text or autocorrect, it's not going to give you that option. And people are really bleeding lazy. So they just go for the easiest option and skip ahead. And so we're losing those dialectal forms, dialect spellings, dialectal words as well, like gaff isn't in autocorrect and things like that. So yeah, it's kind of a bit tragic to see people not using that, because it was a new phenomenon. It's kind of an ephemeral form of communication, and it was the first time people felt really able to use or to write the way they spoke.
Well, what we decided is we'd set ourselves a challenge with our guest, novelist Frankie Gaffney. What would it be like to write a novel that had slang in it, but all the while battling autocorrect? So let's say Frankie is currently writing a sequel to his debut novel, Dublin 7. I'm going to say let's call it Dublin 8, which I think actually would be quite clever, because then when you get the movie deal, you can do 6 prequels, and then you can do all the postcodes, and eventually you'll just have so much money, you'll finally write a book that says, well, actually, it's more County Dublin, actually. So, in fairness to him, Frankie has kindly agreed to read from an imaginary novel, Dublin 8, which I've written and is terrible, which we'll pretend he has been writing while battling autocorrect. Tara and Paul will outline the autocorrect suggestions. So, in this scene, the lead character, Anthony, is being threatened by 2 associates of a local crime lord.
You better have the money and...
Antacid?
Antagonistic.
Anto protested. I don't know what you're talking about, boys. I don't have
Yippee.
Yieldability.
Yizzer. Money. Polly laughed. Shut up, you tick. You're only a little...
Governmental?
Galapagos.
Geebag. Tomo wants the money. Anto shook his head. But I've no...
Nutella?
Not cutlets.
Nothing. Anto watched as Tomo's boys walked away. Pair of...
Bollards.
Bollywood.
Bollockses. He thought. His phone vibrated in his pocket. It was Olivia, the posh ma he'd been seeing recently. Anto answered. He put the phone to his ear. All right,
Washing up liquid?
Was there a Stan?
What's the story, Olivia? He said cheerfully. I'm pregnant, Anto. She replied, suffering
Jacket.
Jaywalkers.
Jesus. Said Anto with a sigh.
The end.
Engender?
Endoscope.
No, just end. The end of it. The end of it.
Sorry.
I want to point out at this point that my book will be a lot bleeding better than that.
Well done. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Colm O'Regan Wants a Bleedin' Word with Paul Tylock and Tara Flynn, and our special guest, novelist and Trinity scholar, Frankie Gaffney.
Words in paper, words in books, words on TV, words for looks, words of comfort, words of peace, words to make the fighting cease, words to tell you what to do, words are working hard for you. Eat your words, but don't go